Alright, we got a new chapter of My Hero Academia. This one is chapter 235. It's the 5th anniversary, apparently, so they're celebrating with an awesome color spread. All of our heroes. Do you remember these guys? You remember this guy with the bushy hair? His name is Deku. And this guy with the explodey hair, his name is Kachan. Yeah, you remember these guys, right? We haven't seen them in a while. None of the villains are here, aren't there? It's all just heroes. There's some teachers and some pro heroes, but it's all good guys. But this chapter, I'm sure, will have none of that. We return to the fight between Redestro and Shigaraki Tomura. Redestro able to unleash new aspects of his quirk, or I'm sorry, his meta ability that he's been honing and refining for decades and decades. I extract my own stress, make it corporeal, and blast it over a wide range. Pinnacle of my meta ability, honed since childhood, an attack that cannot be evaded. But he touched it. In that instant, he moved into it, he ignored the instinct to defend, moving only to destroy. So this is kind of, at first he was like, there's no way your ideology, which is just sort of meaningless, nihilistic destruction, could possibly compare with my righteous cause. Like I am so much more motivated than you. Basically, he's saying, you think you're acting like a shonen protagonist right now. I'm the shonen protagonist. I'm the one that once I'm getting hurt can be like, what about my friends? What about the cause? What about the things I'm fighting for? What do you have? All you can think is destroy, destroy, destroy. So this is kind of the ideological argument happening over the last few chapters. But here he sees, ignored the instinct to defend. If he had just tried to defend, he wouldn't have been able to evade the attack. He would have taken severe damage. But instead he put full faith in his ability to destroy, grabbing the attack with his dusting hands. Since they're clear and sharp. Since it built, feels like only yesterday. His vivid memories floating to the surface. Surface? Circus? Surface. Totally right. All I can do is destroy. The art here looking really cool. Again, with Tomura, there seems to be this urge to really experiment and have kind of the disarray and the destruction of his thought processes and emotions bleed out into the art style, onto the page in all sorts of different ways. It's really impressive. Gone. A world without creation has no future. Redestro now in a grotesque self-parody, this monster of stress and destruction. Don't want that either. The flashback continues. So sorry my boy bothered you. I'll be sure to give him a talking to. Ooh. Tenko Shimura. Origin. Boy. This is gonna be rough, isn't it? Hero again. Causing trouble. Okay. If you don't like it, then learn your lesson this time. There's one rule in our house. My father's one absolute rule. No talk about heroes. Interesting. So, this abusive father, just at 5, kicking him out of the house, making him sit in the corner of the yard. What about dinner? And his allergies are only getting worse. Oh god. So he's there scratching away at his face. Those are rules. 5 years old and still no quirk. I can't make Tenko understand. It'll only lead to more misery for him. Wanting to be a hero will cause him nothing but trouble. So in his father's mind, this is a kind thing he's doing, a benevolent thing. And you can understand where this logic is coming from, even if you don't kind of agree with its conclusions. Because we saw firsthand how Deku was treated for being quirkless. Especially how he was treated for being quirkless and yet wanting to be a hero so badly. And how no one would tell him the thing he wanted to hear most. You can be a hero, right? But in the end, even his mother didn't have the faith to tell him that. And in the last chapter, we had that mysterious part of Tomura's flashback where he was like, I was just waiting for them to say that one thing, that thing they never said. And someone in the comments, I'm sorry, I don't remember who, but someone in our comments said, I think he was waiting for them to say, you can be a hero. And when I first read that, I was like, maybe. But it really seems like they're pointing in this direction now. So he had a very paralleled upbringing to Deku. No quirk, but wanted to be a hero. Out there in the neighborhood, causing mischief. Playing heroes. So my in-laws, I need you to understand too. So there's his sister, saw this before, the doggy. These are the grandparents that were kind to him. And yeah, as we saw, he kind of went through all of his family members and remembered the kindness and gentleness they showed him, except his father. So businessman, my father made a fortune at a young age. He even built a house big enough for my mom's parents to live with us. It's the house I get itchy here. Because no one wanted to play with Mikun and Tomo. I imagine that's his sister and the dog. So let's play together. And we played heroes. It was super fun. Mikun said, you should be All Might, Ten. It's nice and play with them even though they don't have any friends. Oh, so those are just other people I see. But I was saying all the time, does he hate me? Will he like me if I get my quirk? Father doesn't hate you, he knows. He knows how hard it is for heroes. This idea of kind of an understanding of injustice and an understanding of kind of like a fundamental dissatisfaction with the world emerging from this hero play we've seen before in the character of Garo. And it's kind of interesting, the inversion between these two examples. Like Garo was always delegated to play the villain because he was unpopular. They made him play the villain, and he resented how, just because the popular kids were popular, they would always win the hero games. The villain never win. Nobody cheered for the villain, even though the odds were stacked so against him. Here, Tomura is given the role of the hero. He's encouraged to be All Might. He wants to play with the less popular kids and allow them, to have fun and have this experience. Like it's sort of like this is the person that Garo was waiting for. Like this is the sort of person that Garo really wanted to be a hero. Like that wanted to do something heroic to help him. But of course they exist in different series. So Garo, kind of missing out on this idea of heroicness, seeks to become the ideal of villainhood and the human monster and kind of unite the world against him, such to drive the heroes into true heroism. Whereas Shigaraki Tomura here, is kind of shown heroism, given the role of heroism, allowed to become play the hero that he wants to be during the play itself, but then is denied that at home. So it's like everything he could want from the hero game is there, it seems. But it's not connected to reality. Like there's a huge disjoint from, you see what I'm saying? Like the fact that the father says no. That it's this insurmountable authority keeping him away from it. And thus he just wants to destroy everything, I guess. Something like this. Little kids are sneakier than you'd expect. It's simpler. When you're little, grown-ups' words are absolute. That's why I needed to hear it from you all. Just one thing. The household my father built rejected me kindly. Yeah. So yeah, two similar kind of circumstances, similar kind of moments of revolution within themselves, but two totally different outcomes between Garo and his grandma. Ah, yes. So we knew this before, that Nana, the previous inheritor of One for All, and the mentor of All Might, was Tomura's grandmother, and therefore is the mother of his father. So the reason he's so adamant that Tomura never become a hero, that he can't even play a hero, is because I'm sure Nana died tragically in the line of duty. Things like this. You said all that stuff, but don't worry, I'm on your side, Tinko. Let's be a brother-sister hero team. Keep it a secret from Daddy. Sweltering day. Family had a hero in it. I feel like I could take on the world right now. Ooh. And is this when his quirk first activates? Ooh. Ooh. The father knows that he had seen the picture. The itchiness welled up from deep in my gut. Oh man, this is presented so distressingly. And again, in a way that I think the medium of manga is so wonderfully fine-tuned for. Just the immediacy of the father's face on this page, that horrible feeling that everything else is just swirling around, and then these horrific shots of just the people reacting, the sister crying, the mother crying out for the father to stop. And then as you kind of parse the words in and around them too, it just, the heaviness increases. Said he wanted to go in there. So who really wanted to go in there? In the end, did the sister kind of betray him too? Just out of fear? He's smacked by his father. It wasn't your grandmother in the picture. That was a monster who abandoned her child. Do you really want to know what heroes are? They're people who hurt their own families, only to help complete strangers. This household is the one my father built. So, yeah. Not only did she die tragically before her time, long ago she was already dead to her son. She had abandoned him out of the concern for his safety to go fight alone. Oh man, but this scene is just brutal. Tomura getting beaten as he frantically scratches his face. Help me, don't just watch, come on, help me, help me. I'm impressed with this, because like, it's a couple different routes you can take with this sort of plotline. So the one where the father is just sort of irrationally bad, and he has a super shitty childhood, Tomura, and then he grows up with this deep urge for destruction, just out of a rage and out of a revenge. Then there's the kind of more sympathetic route where, you know, the father is so anti-hero because of the situation with his mother. He just wants to protect his son by keeping him away from heroism, you know, that kind of thinking. And then it's just sort of a tragic misunderstanding that Shigaraki never really understands how much his father was actually trying to do for him, only seeing him as the enemy, growing up with this bitterness and this destructiveness. But neither of those would really kind of account entirely for how he is now. So I kind of like this middle way, where there's a backstory to his father's horribleness and why he's such a tyrant. But it's not enough. Like, it's not enough to explain why he's so abusive, or why he's abusive at all. Like, I mean, nothing can explain abuse. And this is so far beyond genuine concern for your child and just into abuse. So it's like the plot kind of has a complexity to it because of this half legitimizing force, and it ties more into the greater themes and plot of the story. But then in the end, the father is just a bad person, that these incidents went way over the line, that people weren't empathetic enough to this child. that there was genuine abuse. And it just kind of stains the whole thing with this additional heaviness and makes it so that when we consider Tomura's character, it's not something that we can just kind of add up anymore. It's not something that we can just be like, oh, well, you know, this explains the hero thing, this explains the father issues, this explains the rage. Good, we're done. There's like this traumatic memory of just sheer abuse that gives it like an infinite darkness beneath it. One that you can't really pull out and explain and kind of resolve later. It's good. It's really heavy. And I'm surprised that they're taking it this far, but I'm impressed. I thought Todoroki already had this shitty father angle all covered up, but yeesh. Sorry I couldn't be more of a normal mom for you. You might decide to hate me, but please know, no matter what happens, I will always love you. I love you, Kotaro. I hope you can live a life full of smiles and joy, knowing that your mom is watching over you from heaven. It's a bizarre little scene where Shikareki's child dad is rating the omurice. He gives it a 6. Isn't that fine then? Why are you so grossed out if it's a 6? How high are your standards? Jeez. But whatever. This is pretty moving. This chapter is all over the map. This chapter is all over the map emotionally. And this idea of a parent leaving behind a note for their child, knowing that they need to cut off contact for the sake of the child's safety. That sort of plotline is always just so moving to me. It reminds me of the Trailer Park Boys Christmas special. And if you don't know that reference, it is a minor spoiler, I'm sorry, but it ends with a revelation of a letter like this. And it's really, really beautiful. I'd rather you'd never love me. And in this part of the flashback, Tomura isn't here, even though he's the one in the narration bubbles explaining this, kind of from his childhood perspective. We see now just his father's thoughts. It's too much. Yes, I went too far. We're the kids. We're not playing by your rules if you're going to get violent. Promised us a home full of joy. What happened to that? Didn't want it to be this way. This is just so heavy. Heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. And here's Tomura himself out with the dog. His one comfort. No, I hate it. I can't take it. I hate everyone. And I think while scratching the dog, he's about to, for the first time, activate his quirk, which leads to the kind of unwitting massacre that we've had kind of hinted in previous disjointed, scattered flashbacks. So it's really well done, the way they had these kind of piecemeal flashbacks, and now that we're getting the full narrative, not only are we hit with troubling revelation after troubling revelation, but we know where it's going. We have a good sense now that Tomura will accidentally kill his entire family in the near future, or perhaps not even accidentally. Because I think his kind of final revelation here that he's having while scratching his dog, this thing that he probably had never allowed himself to admit to himself before, is that he really does hate everyone. It's not just his father, but it's his mother and his grandparents and his sister. Even though they're kind to him, even though they do things that make him think that they're on his side, they don't really help him. In the end, they just perpetuate the abuse. So yeah, he hates everyone, and he might be able to do something about it. We'll find out on July 21st. I'm sure it'll be a gorgeous summer day, a nice light breeze, birds chirping in trees, and we'll find out just how our series' main villain truly entered the darkness. Great! Wow! Fun! What a fun arc. Heroes!